Hey guys, we are going to go over the press to handstand progressions. So you can utilize these in the warm-up. Easy way to do any of these gymnastics movements is to start with the easiest progression and then start building. Tell athletes, okay, if you want to stay with the progression we just did, feel free. Otherwise, if you're ready to advance, this is the next progression. But always make sure athletes know that, especially if there's like stipulations, like you have to be able to do this progression before you advance so that they don't get injured. Press to handstands, not something of as much of a concern for injury, but some of the gymnastics movements, the more advanced movements, you want to make sure you definitely have those first basic progressions before you add on. Press to handstands is just one of those things where if you don't have the basic progressions, you're just not going to be able to do a press to handstand. And there's not as much risk for injury just because they just won't be able to do it. So press to handstand, we have plunge rocks, learning to transfer the weight into the fingertips in the proper way. It's going to put a lot of force in the chaps, in the upper back, and the shoulders, and you want to feel that, okay? So we also have plunge press to L handstand on the balance ball. We have a press to handstand off of the balance ball. We have a press down against the wall. We're working on the negative. We also have a wall facing option, okay, where you have to really compress your body. The wall's not there to support you anymore, but you're trying to get your feet off of the wall and lean away from the wall. We have a press to handstand on the wall, and then we have a full press to handstand. So let's go over these. Plunge rocks. You can do this in any shape. A plank. Plank is not going to be as close to a press, but it's going to be the beginning phases of the press to handstand. Plank, pike, straddle, tuck, any of those shapes. Plank position is a push-up. Lean the shoulders over the fingertips. That's a plunge. We can do this in a pike. Feet close to the hands, leaning and pressing into the floor. Remember, this is called a press to handstand, not a sink to handstand. We're pressing into the floor. You have to be active, pushing away from the floor, pulling the belly button to your spine, okay? Athletes are gonna wanna do this. That's sinking, okay? We wanna press away from the floor, opposite of what you wanna do when you're trying to do it. We can do this in a straddle, okay? Same thing. This is the way I prefer. I just did straddle presses a lot, so that's the way I'm used to. Try to keep your ears relatively close to your biceps. So those are the rocks, the plunge rocks. Plunge to an L handstand. Give me 1 second. So this is a drill that you could add as an option, or a progression that you could add. You don't have to do it, but it's a nice one where you roll, you plunge, and then you lift your hips into that L handstand shape. I'm gonna lean, I'm gonna lift my hips to my tiptoes, and I'm gonna stop at that L handstand. You can also add a piece where you go all the way back, and then pull yourself into that position. Okay? And then from there, your feet are already elevated, so a little bit easier to get into the handstand when your feet are elevated. So you could do this off of a box. But I like this drill because we're already doing that first drill, and then we just finish that handstand. So you stop in the L, and then keep leaning your shoulders, pressing into the floor, lifting your belly button. Literally, that's what you have to think about in order to do your press. Keep pressing. Press to handstand. You have to press into the floor as hard as possible, and you have to lift that belly button to your spine. The core, the shoulders are what's doing the work in order to get your feet up to handstand. So, I could straddle. I find the straddling is a little easier than piking, but you can also pike up to handstand. You could tuck up to handstand. So we have a press down on the wall, So we're starting in a handstand, and we're doing a negative. So on this one, we're working on, anytime you're pressing down or pressing up, you're trying to get your toes as close to your hands as possible. Your body's compressed. Whatever shape you're in, you're compressing your body. So from the handstand, we're gonna try to get our knees or our toes. If we're tucking, we're gonna do our knees first. If we're piking or straddling, we're trying to get our toes to our hands. While we do this, your shoulders are gonna go up against the wall, and you're gonna try to lower and curl down one vertebrae at a time, okay? Tuck, pike, or straddle. So wall facing press down would be the same thing. We just turn around on the wall, and we work on compressing. So for straddling, we have to have a pretty good wide straddle in order to be close to the wall. That one I personally don't do in a pike. I'm sure some really good gymnasts, little girl gymnasts or little boy gymnasts that are really good at their pike, better than me, can do it at wall facing, but not me anymore. Let's go over the press to handstand on the wall. So we're gonna press our shoulders into the wall, our upper back, press into the floor, lift our belly button. In order to get off the floor, you have to press super hard. Okay, press to handstand on the wall. So I'm going to lean my shoulders into the wall. The back of my head will touch. Then my upper back will touch. Press and then lift my hips. Okay. Then you have the full movement away from the wall, where you don't have the wall to rely on, but you have to press into that same shape. So I'm going to start in my position that I prefer. Hands close to my toes as much as I can. Pressing into my toes. I'm doing my planned rock. And then I'm pressing as best I can. That's the press to handstand. So at any point when athletes need to stay at the previous progression, just have them stay there. And then for Friday's workout, for example, just have them complete the progression at that level for the workout. So maybe if they're just at planned rocks, I think there's 3 press to handstands, I think. I would just give them triple that number, do 9 planned rocks, because planned rocks are a lot more quicker and simpler movement than the whole press to handstand. But they can do one of those progressions for the workout. Thanks for watching.